All right. Knicks fans, I'm back. Welcome to another episode of Delusional Knicks Fan Network, where we bring you that Knicks content that you need. Bro, 2 years, haven't been live in a while. Been traveling, been working like crazy. Been putting content out here and there, a lot of stagnant videos. Been working on other people's, can't say other people's, but I've been on, Dope Soul with Queen. I've been on a couple other shows, but it is time to be back home live. It's time for me to put in that work. Much to talk about. I've pretty much, like I said, it's been 2 years, been a phenomenal off season. So for me, it's a lot to talk about. Starting from the firing of Tibbs. That is my guy. I love Tibbs. He got us to the Eastern Conference Finals, but it was certain things about Tibbs that we couldn't utilize. We couldn't go forward. He couldn't get us over the hump. So it only makes sense that we move on. But the process of moving on from Tibbs was crazy, because we didn't have anyone lined up right after. The coaching hiring process was a mess. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. It was a total mess, from us reaching out to coaches that were already signed. And I get it. Jason Kidd is a phenomenal coach. The Minnesota head coach, I think Chris Flint is his name, is a hell of a coach. So these are guys that you would want on your team, and it would make sense. But Jason Kidd was still under contract. Flint was under contract. Udoka was under contract. And I guess this is a process of them every stone unturned. So that process was crazy. Everybody in the media was bashing the Knicks. So why are they taking this approach? Why are they going that approach? And even the fans was questioning, like, okay, we got rid of Tibbs. We're lining up these other coaches, but they're pretty much taken. So what's the process on that? Process is going into it with all the other coaches that were available. Mike Brown was the only one that stood out to me. Mike Brown has a history of winning as an assistant coach, winning as a head coach with coaching players like LeBron, Kyrie, Kobe. So these are players that he had under his belt during that time period. So which is why I was a huge advocate of, like, all right, let's bring Mike Brown. And he won. He has an above 500 with almost every team that he coached with, even a short stint with the Sacramento Kings. So that was my leading hand candidate. I did a video on that. So just kind of brushing through everyone that's coming in really quickly. I'm just brushing through like everything that I recap that I missed with my 2-year hiatus of going live on my own channel. So yes, picking up with the Mike Brown, that was my guy going into it, and pretty much everything that he's speaking with the offense, all that stuff that he could bring to. He still was a defensive head coach his years in Cleveland. They were a solid defensive team, not top 10, but they still was getting there. So the finally made the hire with Mike Brown. It was mixed emotions with a lot of people. Me particularly, I was all in. I was like, let's get it in. What he could do on the offensive end, doing the defensive end, what I pretty much stated before. He communicates with everyone. You can see in the media with speaking with everyone, he makes everybody feels comfortable. Even the players was like, from the beginning, he came in, they talked about life prior before they even talked about basketball. And that's great, getting to know your coach. For me, when I played, basketball, it definitely wasn't high level like everyone else, but building that relationship first. Understand what makes a player tick. Understand, just your life in general can dictate how you play on the court. It's 100%. And it seems that that's an approach that Mike Brown took and is relating to the players. It's definitely getting there. So then we let go a lot of Tibbs guys. We kept a good amount. I definitely want to, let's bring in the coaches, because I think the coaches that we brought on is very, very important. Very important. Real quick, let's switch over from the video to. So as you can see, coaches that we got were obviously Mike Brown, but Chris Gent, who was brought in as the offensive coordinator. This is something that we've never heard before as a Knick organization. It's someone that is strictly there for the offensive scheme. This is something that they wanted done with Tibbs. They brought in these assistant coaches, but Tibbs was the only voice that was being heard during that time period. So it's another reason of why they brought in Mike Brown, is the way he collaborate with his assistant coaches. And I think they are the key to why our team would be next level. Is you're bringing in Chris Gent, who's, like I said, offensive coordinator. Brandon O'Connor, who was brought in as a defensive coordinator. Now, I've heard great things about this dude, who was out with the Clippers. And Clippers was still a great rated defensive team. It still wasn't crazy, but he's like highly regarded in the league. So when they brought him on, like, the league gave the Knicks kudos with that. Like, all right, they're actually working over there. And then, of course, Brandon O'Connor, who was also, who's also a, I already said Brandon O'Connor, Brandon O'Connor was a defensive. Charles Allen, was also another offensive head, who was working with Mike Brown prior before. Ricardo Frios, obviously Rick Brunson been there, Mo Cheeks been there, Mark Bryant, who's pretty much going to change Mitch's game as making him a dominant center in the post. Darren Aaron's been there, and St. James kind of been there prior before. So those coaches is going to change the game for the Knicks. It's going to change everything for us going there. And then I want to talk about the roles that was assembled, the roster, that was assembled by Leon Rose. This is probably the most in-depth roster that we can possibly put together. It's solid through and through. So we want to say, I think Clarkson signed first. He was the first one to sign. And mind you, Knicks is salary cap. We're at the threshold. We're literally at the threshold. I want to say hundreds of thousands away from, the second apron. But we were able to bring in Jordan Clarkson after he got released. Then we brought in Yabusele on the mid-level exception. So those two individuals alone set the Knicks far apart. Definitely set them far apart as far as the bench scoring, because we didn't have bench scoring. We was at the bottom when it came to bench scoring. So I was definitely looking forward to adding these two gentlemen. Then, of course, last minute, Knicks came in and pulled Malcolm Brogdon on a non-guaranteed Exhibition 9 or Exhibition 10 pickup. It's crazy. Now, granted, injury history, right? Last few years haven't been playing solid. Missed a lot of years last year. The same with Jordan Clarkson. But still a massive upgrade. And we got him on a non-guaranteed. Of course, Kevin McCullough, they brought back. Garrison Matthews, they brought on the Exhibition 9. This is just training camp invite. Tosan, who was with the Brooklyn Nets, I believe we signed him to a two-way. Solid forward. I think he averaged like 9.4 points with Brooklyn. Alex Len. Now, I like Alex Len. He played with Mike Brown out in Sacramento. It's a legit 7-footer, European style, someone that can pass the ball, someone that can hit mid-range jump shot, great post player. Picture like a poor man's Nurkic, not Jokic, but a Nurkic. So that's something to look at in the future. Obviously, like with Mitch being on an expiring contract, with us being at the apron, they're bringing in these players that they can possibly utilize in the future and have on the team. So going with Alex Len and just bringing him in the organization, getting him familiar with everything, next year can possibly make the team. I truly think so. Like, if we don't have enough money to bring back Mitch or Hakapoti or anything, like, this is a player you could bring back on a vet minimum for $1 million. And I think he can still be productive. Gershon Yabusele, as I told before, on that 5, and he took less too. He's going to be a great addition with the Knicks, trust me. Matt Ryan, obviously we're familiar with Matt Ryan and Landry Shamet. They brought them back on, I believe, for Exhibition 9, non-guaranteed. Obviously, this is just for training camp, but Shams put out some information out there regarding Landry Shamet and Malcolm Brogdon, saying that they are going to play pivotal roles with the Knicks. I don't know how. I don't know how, especially with no money. Trey Jameson, they brought him along here. He's been with the Lakers, another athletic big, someone that's a lob threat that they brought along. Mohamed Diawara, he's probably going to be signed to the roster. I don't know, maybe have him down in the G League for a time period, or he can be that 15th man. Or I believe like under like the rookie exception, they're able to bring him in, and we'll still be under the cap. And then of course Ariel Hakaporti. That's the roster that we assembled right now. Just seeing that alone, chat. What are your thought process? What are your thought process? Because correct, yo, this team is definitely stacked. It's 100% stacked. I'm trying to figure out why I didn't post up. I think because I didn't have it here. Bless it. Mike, what it do? But definitely, Nostalgia Nick. This our lineup is stacked all the way through. It's weird because with the next segment is pretty much talking about where the Knicks will rank at as far as Knicks total wins. NBA was saying that Knicks with 54 was pretty much the second in the East. Why not first? Why not a 60 win? All right, why not 60 wins? I think so, but this team is definitely stacked. This says, yep, Brog and JC playing. That's 100%. It's 100%. Hold on, let me see. Why is trying to make sure that everything's popping up. It's not popping up for the messages real quick. Let me double check. So I definitely want to get the chat's perspective, and I don't want to leave nobody out. So let's see how we do this. All right, that'll work. So yeah, Brog definitely someone is the odd man out, and that is very true. That is very true. What is your question? Because what are your thoughts? I think a trade is going to have to happen. All right, a trade is definitely going to have to happen. We have way too many individuals on a roster where the minutes are going to go. You know, your starting five. Obviously, your starting five, I think, is Brunson. Then, of course, at the 2 guard, we're going with Mikal. 3, OG. 4 is Cat. 5 is Mitch. So that's your starting 5. We definitely know that. Hold up. Why is that chat not moving up with this? So I might have to drop it down. Hold up. We just gonna drop it down. So yeah. So yeah, I think, and then your bench, obviously, Deuce. I can't see Deuce not getting minutes due to the fact of how well Deuce played defense. Like there's no way Deuce is not getting burned. Then of course Brogdon. They brought Brogdon in on here for a reason. He's a legit point guard. He's probably our best and only solid point guard to kind of run the offense, to run everything. So that's pretty much what we're working with. Then of course Jordan Clarkson. They brought Jordan Clarkson here to get buckets. So Clarkson, that's what he's going to do. He's going to come here and he's going to play solid minutes. Then of course Josh. What's going to happen with Josh? He has the injury. Josh still needs to run. That's 9 players that we talked about already. Then of course it's that 5th. Is it Hakaporti that gets these minutes? What's going to happen? So, and he already stated that he's playing 9.5 to roughly 10 rotation. So someone on any given Sunday won't play that much minutes, which is great, right? It's great. The reason why I say that, this is a sacrificing year. I gotta pull up the big screen. This is a sacrificing year. This is a year for everyone to sit here and understand, like, there's a goal. Right? Put that pride aside. I don't care if I'm coming in 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or we playing 45 a night. If we get the dub, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. And obviously, Knicks is, I believe, I believe. Let's pull up the article real quick regarding our team. I think it's this one. Yeah, they have Cleveland with 59 wins, 23 losses. Knicks with 54. 54 wins. Now, granted, without a bench, we won 51 games last year, right? Without an offense in the flow that Coach Brown wants to bring over here, we still won 51 games. So you're telling me we're only going to win 3 more games this year? NBA, ESPN, that's tough. Like, I don't agree with that. I truly don't. I don't agree with that. I think that we can roughly 58, 57. I think that win total is where we can be at. Orlando Magic, I think 50 and 32 is perfect for the Magic. Perfect. Atlanta Hawks, I think Hawks will have a better record. That is a team that I'm worried about. I'm going to be truthful. With the addition of KP, stretching at 5 poles, a pick and roll with Trae Young and Kristaps Porzingis, that's scary. And then they have nothing but 6-7 wings from your 2 guard all the way to your power forward. Atlanta, to me, might be better than Orlando. But it ultimately falls on Trae Young's hands. We'll see what that goes. Chat, let me know what you think on that aspect, though. Am I crazy to think that Atlanta could possibly be the 3rd best team or the 2nd best team in the East? Because I think the Knicks is number 1. Even though Cleveland is coming in with the same roster they had last year. I think they even added Lonzo Ball, too. Okay, that's something to think about. Because playmaking was definitely an issue for them going down the stretch. And I believe Darius Garland was injured. So adding Lonzo Ball definitely makes a difference. But he was injury prone. He still brings 3-point shooting. But I think my Knicks will come in ultimately with a better offense and a better defense. We was 5th in offensive rating at the end of the year. And then I believe our defense was definitely out the top 14, but I think this is the definitely different year. I think our offense, similar to when Mike Brown went to Sacramento, took that offense to number 1 his first year. And the Knicks have a way better team than his first year in Sacramento. A way better team where we can play whatever style you want. Obviously, pace and space is his thing. We could play whatever style, and it's definitely going to show. But Atlanta, 47, I think will be better. Detroit, I don't even think Detroit is going to be 5th. I think Detroit is going to drop. But what's crazy is having Milwaukee, Boston, and Philly in the play-in. The Heat and Indy. I still think Indiana's going to be better than what they are. People are sleeping on Indy. I think 39 and 42, it's definitely they're going to be better than that. But we'll see. Then, of course, the bottom tier, you got Chicago, Toronto, Charlotte, Brooklyn, Washington, the usual suspects in that lineup. But, yeah, back to the roster. With the current roster that we have, let me see. With the current roster that we have, hold on, let me move this over, too, because I keep seeing this chat thing. I might have to just keep dropping, so it's here. So everything can keep popping up. So with the roster that we have, somebody's the oddball out. A trade needs to happen, or we pretty much going to lose Brogdon because the Rockets need a point guard right now. And if we cut Malcolm Brogdon, he's 100% going to Houston. And he's gonna play. He's possibly going to get some solid minutes over there with their point guard going down with the injury. But you got Deuce. You got Pacone Daddier and Tyler Kolek are the individuals that are on the back end that could potentially be moved, traded. I don't want to see that happen because each guy you can play in, with Deuce. Deuce is pretty much our primary defender. He's the one that's going out there and pressing. Like Deuce was the only guy that was pressing. Every now and then you would have Mikal pressing full court press, but it was only Deuce. He's the only guy that could put the pressure on these quicker point guards. You know, who else could we bring in? Bogdan Brogdon is a 6'4" guard, was known for his defense back in the day, but he's coming off an injury. We don't know well how he can play with that injury. Tyler Kolek can play defense, but he's been getting cooked. Be quite frank, he's been getting cooked. We love his playmaking ability. You know, the times that he did play, talking about in regular season last year, he's been efficient. You know, this guy is like 8-to-1 turnover ratio, 9-to-1 turnover ratio, right? Decent 3-point shooter. But we relied more on his playmaking, not his defense, right? He's on the oddball out to me, to be completely honest, right? Pacome Dadier, no. Hands off. Hands off. That is a 6'8" wing who can put the ball on the floor, who has a jump shot, sweet jump shot at that. Fluidity. You know, if the Knicks want to preach and talk about player development, it's through Pacome Dadier and Diawara. That's the only two individuals that I see on this team. Mohamed Diawara. That player development is the reason why. Like, so it don't make sense to trade Dadier. But then granted, they went and got Think Pink, who's pretty much going to be in the G League. So maybe he can work with him. That's someone that I think is possible that can come up eventually on a, you know, a minimum or something here and there. But it's Pacome Dadier is the biggest upside. And then it's the NBA we talking about. So in order to make trades, they're going to go for the best value. And the best value is Pacome Dadier. But I will stay away from that. 100% stay away. But then let's get into the nitty gritty for me that I was 100% ready to kind of deep dive in, and it's the training camp. Training camp, my first thought of training camp, and I don't want to sit there and take anything away from Tibbs, because, you know, Tibbs trained the guys. Everybody's, you know, sitting there talking like, yo, they're running fast breaks, they're doing this, he's vocal, this and that. Tibbs probably did that. We just didn't see it, you know, but he probably did. You know, it's the same in training camp. It's training camp. It's not regular season practice. This is definitely training camp. But you can see the pace with everything that he does. Pace. And we're looking forward to that. You see in the centers running, seeing the forwards running, getting the ball out, the outlets. They're knocking down free throws at the end. Like he's getting these guys going. It's definitely a quote that I do want to pick up really quickly. Is what he stated was, he talked about automatic reads was his thing. Let me see if I could pull it up. So it's Mike Brown on institution offensive concept. Our staple, pace, spacing, paint touches, quick decision, ball reversals, our automatic reads, played conceptually without calls. It's hard to guard. So he wants to implement that during the preseason, implement that now. So obviously the biggest takeaway was the automatic reads and conceptual plays without calls. I have to let you guys know what that is, right? That is literally stating that all championship teams had that. All championship teams had. The Lakers under Phil Jackson had plays and sets in positions where players know where to go whenever the ball is on the floor. 100% they know where to go. So let's say if Cat rebounding the ball, OG know what corner to go to, Mikal knows what corner to go to, depending on the defense position. Where the defense is at, they know what to do. That's championship basketball. Golden State Warriors implement that. Their dynasty. San Antonio Spurs with the motion offense, they implemented that. That was a dynasty, right? I already mentioned the Lakers. That was a dynasty. The number one team that probably did it best was the Bulls with their triangle and Phil Jackson. That was a dynasty, right? And I think that's the reason why there's really not that many dynasties now, is due to the players that are constructed and the system, you know, being based on those players. So that means a lot. So what he's saying for us, you know, Players knowing what spots, knowing what to do. I don't have to call a play every second. Remember, Tibbs was standing there calling plays every inbound. Then occasionally Jalen Brunson would, but with a system intact, with repetition, these guys will know automatically what to do. They will know, okay, cool. Let's just say that there's 2 people back. I know that we can attack the corners, have the big run through the paint really quickly. Now we got 3-on-2. Everybody gets back. They know what motion, what options to do, and it's continuous ball movement. There's no stagnant. You know, Jalen Brunson at a point in time was just ball dominant, and with the right, he needed to be. You know, Deuce barely created for himself. Great 3-point shooter. You know, but you never saw Deuce break somebody down off the handle, get to the rack, you know, or and make others better with passes and stuff. He could finish, but it was just more about Deuce. Cat can create, you know, from the post, the high post, when he's, you know, at the triangle on the wing and facilitate looking around for individuals. But that's so much. Then that's also taking him out his game. You know, then who else? Mikal. Tibbs rarely put the ball in Mikel's hand, which I thought that he could have been our secondary ball handler to bring the ball up, create for himself. You know, people who follow me and know I always reference the Christmas game when Mikel dropped 41. He took over. It was a lot of high pick and rolls, him bringing the ball up, him making the right reads, knowing when to pass, knowing when to hit the floater. Mikel, if he gets involved in the offense more, have the ball in his hands more, I think it's going to unlock a whole different thing with him, and being consistent. Now, granted, like I said, I don't care about everyone point average as long as we're winning, but he can easily average 20. I think we averaged 17 last year. He can easily average 20 plus. That's just me regarding that. But another take on the training camp was Mitch talking about, you know, the offense that he saw is something new that they're implementing. So that tells you before that these guys, well, certain people was limited on the Knicks. These guys were limited on what they can do in certain positions. So that's going to hinder your offense. Right? It's going to hinder your offense. The offense that he's implementing, hundreds of college institutes are running these schemes. Right? So it's like, why not a professional NBA team? Why not? So that was my issue with Tibbs and this offense. You're going to hear me revert back to Tibbs in the offense a lot because I felt like it was stagnant. But what the offense that Mike Brown is bringing in, these are simple concept. You know, Princeton offense is simple. Everybody run that. You know, floppy. Everybody runs floppy. You know, early in the year, we ran floppy for Jalen Brunson. We ran it. Later on in the year, it fell out. I don't know why, but JB was still efficient off of those floppy plays. And then, of course, even with Cat, he was more facilitating early in the season. Then later on in the year, went to ISO ball. So I truly don't know what occurred. But under Mike Brown, he's going to preach, stick within the offense, stay within the offense. And I think great things are going to happen because why? He took Sacramento to a #1 offense. I'm going to continue to say that. Like, and the Knicks, this is a way better Knicks team. Way better Knicks team. I'm going to definitely try to pull up some sound bites from him talking in camp. If I can find any. I want to say, where would that most likely be? I'm trying to see. I got my Knicks pulled up on Twitter, but that's fine. So yes, that sticked out in training camp. Another thing that sticked out in training camp was the starting lineup. Right now, he said, "Do not read into it, ladies and gents. You know, don't read into it. Don't read into it, bruh. It's tough to read into it when you state on the colors wise when we know that the Knicks run a certain color scheme. We know there's starter blues, there's bench grays." Right. And then, of course, there's the burgundy and then there's the green. That usually is the rotation for us to indicate who's starting, who's this. So first day of training camp, that's the first thing that everyone was looking at. Of course, Mitch was in started blue, so regular rotation. Cat, Mitch, Brunson, OG, Mikal. Same 5 that we had. He started off with that. Then, of course, in his meeting, it's like, oh, don't read into that. We're going to switch it up and rotate to figure out to figure out what it looked like. Then, of course, in day 2, we saw Josh in the starters blue. All right. He took up a couple shots. We saw them running, just shooting, things of that nature. But with Josh in the starter blue, we saw his shooting was bad. I can't say it was bad, but it didn't look good. I'm trying to see if I can do I have free throw Josh clip, but it didn't look clean because clearly he has the injured finger. But let's talk about the injured finger. So during the playoffs last year, Josh has injured his, I believe it was his ring finger or his middle finger on the shooting hand. I think it was the middle finger on the shooting hand. Had surgery in the offseason. From that surgery, he re-aggravated the injury. And that finger looks fat to where it's going to be tough to dribble a basketball. It's going to be tough to make shots. He stated that he's going to wear a splint, and then, of course, see if he can play, which is ridiculous. But see if he can play later on. I mean, see if he can play through it and have surgery later on. That's not going to happen. Let me pull up something. It's not going to happen. I'm a shooter. I play ball, so I know when you're shooting, right? When you're shooting your jump shot, right? This finger is literally the last part, right, of the ball. It's the flick. It's the last part. That's the last release of the ball. It's the last rotation of the ball. How can you shoot with the slant that he has on it, the splint? It's big. It's your shooting hand. It's going to give you trouble. So he's out of the starting lineup. That's one of my key things why I think he's out of the starting lineup. It's definitely doing that finger. And he's going to have off-season surgery. So why not do that now and then get yourself in it? And I understand why, too, to be quite frankly with you. We have a new head coach in, a new system. You don't want to sit that out. You don't want to come late into the season to try to get adjusted to what we're doing offensively and defensively, because then you're way back of the line. So it makes sense for Josh to stick here, play it out, figure out the offense, figure out the rotation. And if it's bad by the time it's February, March or whatever, then possibly try to get the surgery, come back, or just thug it through. Like he said, he's dealt with a lot of knick-knack injuries. Thug it through and see what comes about it. But that's one thing in training camp that kind of stuck out was definitely his free throw shooting. That finger alone, that's not good with Josh. To be honest with you, let me see. We talked about that. That's player salaries. We can figure out that later on. But anything that sticked out to you, chat? I see we got people in here. Chat, talk to me. What do we think about the starting lineups? What do we think about Josh hands? Is that something that's crucial? That's devastating, or it's nothing? This is something that we could live about. Josh is Iron Man. He can play through it. What are your thought process with that? Because I think it's going to definitely hinder his offensive game, hinder his defense. Because remember, he's running let's put it this. So Josh, his defense is a reckless thing. Just look at how he got to shoot. That's off. And look at the face. Look at that. That face tells you the pain that he's going through. That face is telling you yeah, no, my touch is not there. My touch is definitely not there. I got an issue with that. It's a big issue. It's a big issue, especially like you said, the way he plays is defense. It's aggressive. It's attacking. Second chance opportunities. He's a walking triple double for us. He had a career high last year. Let's put up Josh real quick. He had a career high of, let me see, will it pop up? That's on that one. So Josh had a career high, played 77 games last year, career high. Not a point, he was doing that, but 10 rebounds, 10.3 rebounds per game. 10 points per game. He had 9.6 rebounds and 5.9. These are all these are career high for Josh. right? Walking triple double for us. Now, granted, his minutes per game, do they got the minutes per game up there? No, but he was playing about 30, 35, 36 minutes per game. That's going to drop. So these numbers are going to drop as well. It's definitely going to drop, but injury is going to be crucial. Definitely going to be crucial. So then let's hop into minutes since chat a little quiet right now. Minutes. So with us playing roughly about 9, what are we doing? Like 9 to 10 players. The minutes distribution is going to be kind of all over. I think it's going to be depending on who's playing, who are we playing against, what are they defensive lineup, what are they offensive lineup. That's pretty much going to determine everything of what it looks like. JB, I want to say 32 minutes per game. I think 32, 34. I think that's something that he was at before, but let's say 32. We go with JB with 32. Mikal is he's going to be a primary defender and stopper, so he's going to be in the game, similar to when other key defenders and other key 2 guards are going to be in the game. I believe he was top 5 in minutes played. He played the most minutes on the Knicks. I think was around 36 or 37. So that's going to drop. I say Mikal is probably 34 minutes. I truly believe Mikal 34. OG, I think it's 34 as well. I think he hovered around 35, 34. Mikal 34. Like, I think everyone is going to be in a similar plane. Cat, either 34, 35. Cat going to play a lot of minutes, I think. So I think Cat is going to play a lot of minutes. He's probably going to be the focal point. And the reason why he's going to play more than JB is because they're going to want to conserve JB for the playoffs. They're going to conserve JB for the playoffs. Regular season, like, we could get it done by committee. Playoffs is when your superstars come to play. And that's when his minutes is going to shoot up. So I think we're going to utilize everyone else in that point guard spot. And then when it's playoff time, JB numbers are going to ramp up. But I think Cat's going to be regular season, 34, 35. So let's keep it at that 35. Now we bring it over to Mitch. Mitch is playing like 23, 24. I'm going to be honest with you on that position. Why? Because we got Yabusele and we got Hakaporti that's still on the roster that's going to back up and get those minutes. So that's probably the only short minutes that's going to be in that starting 5. And this is average for Mitch. Mitch has been injury prone, but this is a contract year for Mitch. So I think he's going to pull through on this contract year. So 23 for Mitch. Then the first one off the bench. Who you think is the first one off the bench? Like, that's who do you think? That's Jordan Clarkson. Now, with Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench, he averaged, I want to say, around 27 to 30 in the Utah Jazz. You think he want to come to New York not to get around the same minutes? I don't know how, but I think he's going to be at roughly 28 to 29 minutes a game. And you make that up with those Mitch minutes. With Mitch going down, you can have Cat slide down to the 5. You can have Clarkson playing the 2. You might even have him, play the 1. He's an excellent ball handler, even though he creates for himself. Look at Josh making a brick. But he can create for himself and be a ball handler, so he can play that 1 or that 2. I don't know about having him play the 3. It's an option, possibly, when we play smaller teams, with teams that go with the smaller lineup. The Pacers, at a point in time, they had smaller lineups with Halliburton. Then they had, I forgot the light-skinned dude that killed us. But they got a rotation there. Pardon me. They got a rotation there. when they do have multiple guards out there. So those are time minutes that he can utilize and get there. So I can see Clarkson getting roughly 28 to 29 minutes a game, and I think that's solid. So then after that, where are we going? Are we going Deuce? Are you going Brogdon? Let's go with Yabusele, because I think Deuce and Brogdon situation is crazy. Now, Yabusele, with him out in Philly, he played a big bulk of his minutes at the 5. That's due to Joel Embiid being hurt. But he was originally brought there for the power forward, but he has the capability of playing both. With us, we're going to utilize him on the both end, the power forward. So he's the first power forward when obviously we're sitting Cat down. So if Cat's playing like 35 minutes, that's what, roughly 13 minutes left at that power forward, because it's 48. So that's 13 minutes. And then, of course, you can get some of that center minutes as well. So if we got 13, I think Yabusele, how can we pull? Maybe 20 minutes per game for Yabusele? Maybe 20? I think 20. I think 20. Let's pull up the roster. Let's put up Yabusele really quickly. All right, 70 games, 11 points, 5 rebounds. 3 rebounds. Wait, oh no, it's career. Excuse me, I'm looking at the wrong side. It's supposed to be career and assists. So 11 points, 5 rebounds with 2 assists. All right. I think he, like you said, roughly around 30 minutes. He's going to play about 20 with the Knicks. It's going to be 20, 22, 23, but around that 20-minute range. And then, of course, when Mitch is sitting out back-to-backs, his minutes will go up with 30 points, or depending on the matchups or depending on what we're doing, those minutes will go up. So I feel good about that. So that's 20 on that end. Then we go in, what do we need? Are we going Deuce? Are we going Brogdon? What minutes are left? You have the 32 for Brunson that he's playing. So with 38, you got 16 minutes left there. But then, of course, you can save that with Clarkson. So I will go with Deuce, kind of that backup, and we're using Brogdon probably for someone that's, I don't know, maybe as a situational situation. I have no clue. But I would give Deuce about 13 or 14 minutes, which is a massive drop for Deuce. Deuce was averaging, pretty much putting up over 20 something minutes per game. 64 games. Deuce had an injury year, so that's a bounce back year for Deuce. 9.5, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. So hopefully we can have a bounce back year for Deuce. But his minutes would definitely go down this year. It's going to be a good year, but everybody mentions going to sacrifice. Everybody got to sacrifice. But another thing, and probably my last thing, is really like the roles. JB, his role this year is to be a true captain, to be honest with you, and lead this team. Whatever we need per game, be that. If we need scoring, score. If we need assist, just be that assist man. If we need some defense, play some defense. Like, be that guy. We know Jalen Brunson likes to start off hot, score the basket, get it going. But we got a team. Utilize the team. So for captain role is to be the captain. Whatever we need, steer the boat and make sure you get us to the promised land. Another role for Mikal, for him, is to be aggressive on offense. Yes, we need you on defense, but if we're going to actually play more guys, which you insist, you can be aggressive on defense, but even better on offense. I can see him, bringing the ball up, setting up plays, knocking down better 3-pointers. His 3-pointers, I don't know, Mikal. Your 3-pointers wasn't looking that great last year. Let me see. I'm not gonna give it to Mikal. I was about to pull up his stats. But his 3-point stats wasn't that great, but he can knock them down. But it's his mid-range game for me. I don't even care if he knocked down a 3. Give me Mikal mid-range. This man is like 54% from his mid-range. He's efficient from the perimeter on shooting. right? Picture Rip Hamilton. Rip won a championship with that style, having a mid-range player. Golden State Warriors, you know who was their mid-range player? Kevin Durant. If you want to go with a less crazy player, they had Sean Livingston, right? These guys killed with having mid-range, right? Lakers, you had Kobe, mid-range, right? The Bulls, Mike, mid-range. Mid-range opens up a lot, to be honest with you. And it's a forgotten tool right now in the league, to be honest with you. These guys are not knocking down mid-range jump shots. Definitely a forgotten tool. But yes, Mikal, that is for you. That is your role. Be aggressive on offense, but also on defense. Then OG, I think for me, OG is going to have the biggest goal. And that's all NBA defense team. And it's tough because not a lot of forwards win Defensive Player of the Year, but Defensive Player of the Year. We need this man to be defensive all team, all NBA, number one at that. We're not talking 2, 3, even though he hasn't even made any. We need to get him as all defensive team first. Just team in general. Let me stop because I thought about it. There's some forwards out there that are beasts. You got the Thompson brothers and stuff. So I get it. So let's just at least make third team, but get him as all defensive, and Defensive Player of the Year. OG is like, what's the guy that from the Jets? Revis Island, bro. Like, you can lock down. He's guarding our best forward. Whether it's Braun, whether it's Luka, whether it's Anthony Edwards, he had to guard. Like, the list could go on. Like, get this man noticed, Mike Brown, but also OG. That is your role, defense. And then also buckets, too. OG had a career high with 18 points. Those 3-point shots, running the lane, getting to the basket. His post game was a lot better. OG off the dribble was stiff dribbling, but it was still OG off the dribble. That was crucial for OG, and I was loving it. So that's for that. For Cat, it's literally the same thing that you did last year. Is just be consistent on the offensive end. Play better defense, right? Defensive schemes, right? With drop coverage, he was getting destroyed in drop coverage. Why? Because obviously in the drop coverage and the pick and roll is where he sags down to let the player come in. But then usually that player is going to either knock down a three or knock down that mid-range because Cat drops so much in that drop coverage. He doesn't have the lateral movement to pretty much stay, so he bails out and drop. Then, of course, if he's hedging, when you hedge, you show off the pick and roll and try to get back to your big. He usually gets beat by the big, or he's barely hedging, right? And the point guard gets around, and that's another mismatch of where someone has to help out for Cat. So definitely, actually, yeah, I don't want to say do the same thing you did last year. Is be consistent on defense for Cat. That is the goal for Cat, honestly. Defense. Everything else flows for this guy. And if you're not going to play as much minutes, you can give us a little bit more because you're not having that wear and tear and being on the court for 14 minutes straight, 15 minutes straight. You have your intervals of having that break. So give me longer spurts of you playing defense because you know you're going to get rest. We're utilizing the other players. So give me more on defense, and he can, right? When he was in the Timberwolves in Minnesota, these dudes had a top 10 defense. Now, granted, a lot of that was on Rudy Gobert. And, they had Mike Conley, who was an okay defender. I forgot their forward that they have out here. He's a solid defender. I believe he was he could have been all defensive team. So they had players. And then he was a part of that. So why not utilize him similar to that? Which is why a double big lineup works, because we can hide Cat on the perimeter on the wing and have Mitch be that primary guy. It works. So that'll be for that. And of course for Mitch, stay healthy, Mitch. Stay healthy. Also be a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. Why? Because you're playing more minutes, right? You're going to play more games. Let's look at Mitch. I think Mitch is at the bottom here. Oh, Jesus Christ. Should I even bring this up? But Mitch only played 17 games last year, 17 regular season games, which it was 5 points and 5 rebounds. And that was in 20 something minutes for Mitch. Probably was less. But we know this is semi-healthy, unhealthy Mitch with that 17 minutes, trying to get back, trying to get his wind and everything. When we know on any given Sunday, Mitch can give you 8 and 8. So be that Mitch for us. Be that Mitch, right? That gives us 8 and 8. Be that Mitch that gives us that. Let me see if I can switch it to the video. All right? Be that Mitch for us that gives us that number, 8 and 8. Yes, be solid. So that's what I have for Mitch. Jordan Clarkson, that's real simple. Shoot the rock. Be aggressive. Be that 6 man that we brought you here to be. That's all we need from him. Because he stated before, that's his job. I'm here to get buckets. I'm gonna let it fly. And he stated, and he brought that up. I'm gonna let that offense fly. So do that for Clarkson, but then also play defense. Him in Cleveland was solid. This man was solid in Cleveland, playing under Braun. He was playing great defense, knocking down threes. He was guarding the Steph Currys during that time period. Even though he's 32 now, I still think he can be productive because now it's meaningful basketball. This is just not random basketball that Jordan Clarkson is going to be playing. It's meaningful basketball. So he has something to play for. So that's what I have for Jordan Clarkson. Meaningful ball. Go out, shoot them threes. And he's going to have the opportunity to get the ball up because we're going to play with a faster pace, faster schemes, which is going to translate into a lot of three-pointers. And that's one thing that he definitely do. So, which is why it's a delusional take of mine. Everybody stated, but this is why I think we're going to lead the league in scoring. Is due to the fact that you got Clarkson that could get it up. You got Jalen Brunson. You got Cat, just the number one shooting big in the league. OG can knock down. And these guys are shooting it at a 40% clip and higher. All right? 40% clip or higher, which is why we question why Tibbs wasn't letting it fly like that, in that offense. If these guys are shooting it at a high 40 clip, we should be getting up more threes. But I think we got better personnel now. Jordan Clarkson, not granted, Jordan Clarkson is not, by statistic wise, I think he's shooting 40% from three. It's bad. We usually like the high 40s, the 45s, 42s, but 40%, it's crazy. Deuce fell off. Deuce was high 46. His 3-point shooting kind of fell off, but I think that's due to the injury. Actually, no, I'm saying 40, 30. They're 36. Clarkson, I think he was shooting about 30, 32, I think, for Clarkson. He was shooting 40 from the field. Deuce was shooting high 40s. His dropped down to 36. Josh, when we first got Josh, remember we was like, yo, this man is the second coming of Discount Double Check. When he first came, he was shooting 53 from the floor and 50 from three. That was the half a year that he came to us. Then the following year, we realized, oh yeah, that's something ain't right. And then I felt each year it went down. And then last year he just stopped taking the threes altogether, which is why they were putting they changed the defensive schemes on the Knicks. They put bigs on Josh Hart because they know that he was going to be more aggressive in the paint than shoot threes. And they put the smaller forwards on Cat, who was able to take advantage of Cat, which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But other roles I have for Deuce. Obviously, for Deuce is still be aggressive. But I think I kind of talked about that. But Josh, a role for Josh is your 3-point shooter, my man. And it's going to be tough because of the injury in the splint. Like, can he provide a high 40% shooting from us this year? I don't think so. I truly don't. He's better at attacking. His mid-range has been good, but with the injury, it's going to be different. So I don't really have too much goals for Josh because I don't know what to expect from Josh. We would know later on with we get that first game in, which I'm definitely looking forward to. But that kind of wraps it up for me. And forgive me, Yabusele and the goals with Yabusele, right? These are. Let me tell you about Yabusele and his stats. Right, out in Philly, Yabusele was the 95 percentile in transition buckets. Right, for undersized forward / center, he's about 6'8", 6'9". Right, his 3-point shooting, it's hovering around 37, 38. Right, and I think he took about 3 a game. So you're making a good amount, like 2 and change, maybe like 1.7, whatever. His transition threes, his 95 percentile of attacking the rim and transition, which is why I think he was a great key acquisition that probably was a partnership with Mike Brown, stating with how he wants to play and how the Knicks want to play. He was a great transition for that, a great pickup for that. So him attacking the paint, no Diddy. This is a thick dude, big body, right? He's built like Charles Barkley, right? That's going to come in handy with boxing out, setting screens, elbowing other players. And he's a brute. This guy's like 285 pounds to be 6'8", and knows how to utilize his body. He's very crafty. It's a European player. All right, he's a European player. So these guys come with skill sets, passing, mid-range jump shot, threes, know how to read the game, know how to adjust. So Yabusele is a key pickup for us, right? And I did a video speaking about Yabusele, and one of the key facts I said about Yabusele is who my player comp for him is. And y'all gonna be upset, but the player comp that I said was Draymond Green. Now, hear me out. This is why I stated Draymond Green. How did Golden State utilize Draymond Green? Obviously, he's an undersized defender. But on the offensive end, he was the one that was playing the 5 or playing the 4, but he was running an offense, right? To where, let's say Steph Curry brought the ball up, his initial pass was to Draymond Green. He passed it to him. Draymond Green is either setting that screen for him to get the ball back right at the top of the key, quick jump shot, or Curry's coming up, Draymond Green is the one setting the screen for him. Either he flares out or the screener, the person that he's screening for, flares out, which usually Klay Thompson or someone, but this could be Mikal, comes out, knocking down a quick offense off of this big screen, 6'8", 285, setting these screens. So you can utilize him in that offense. Or if he's at the top of the key, he's hitting cutters for the back cut while he's facing up, because you have to utilize his threat of knocking down that mid-range shot. There's no sagging off. That's not Mitch. So if you got the ball and he's at the top of the key, you have to face up now, and you have to be up. So they big have to be there. And other players have to play up as well. If not, Yabusele's going to take advantage of that. It's a mid-range jump shot, or he's going to pump fake, get by the defender. That's how he got most of his buckets. Granted, it was only 11 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. But he's capable. Under Mike Brown offense, you're going to see something better when he's in there, as far as the ball movement, as far as a big that can still space the floor. We didn't have that. We had Precious Achiuwa, and I love Precious Achiuwa. Precious, shout out to you, Precious, down in Miami. But Precious, He more was a rim finisher, someone that could run the floor on the wings. He tried to knock down a couple threes. We all saw how that played out. He's gonna make some, he's gonna miss some, but he didn't have any other aspect. Like his mid-range jump shot wasn't that good. Like he shot better from three than a mid-range, which makes no sense. His off the dribble was solid. It's one thing I like about him. His off the dribble was solid. Then of course he had finishers where he was destroying you on fast breaks or alley-oop. But Yabusele, his 3-point shooting's 10 times better. Right? When Cat went to the bench, we didn't have someone from the big perspective that can space the floor and knock down or even facilitate the offense from that position, similar to Cat. We do not lose a step once we go to the bench from any perspective. Whether it's Brunson sitting down, you're either bringing in Brogdon or you're bringing in Jordan Clarkson, who's going to sit there and continue put the pressure on the offense or continue to facilitate from Brogdon's standpoint. Or Deuce you bringing in, who's bringing the full pressure defense, knocking down 40% threes, and being a pest on defense. You know, now it gets a little murky when Mikal needs to sit, but then you can still have Clarkson at the 2, which I think he's mainly going to be at the 2, but all these guys are interchangeable. So Clarkson at the 2. The big question is the wings. When OG sits, obviously you bring in Hart, but Hart is only 6'4". Now we're going down in size. So your small forward is going to be 6'4". Then of course you got a 2 guard in Jordan Clarkson, who's also 6'4", 6'3". And then who's going to be the backup point, whether it's Deuce or Brogdon? We're still short on that aspect. And then of course you need to have Mitch in that lineup because these guys are small, or Hakaporti. Because I wouldn't see Gerson Yabusele playing center with him being 6'8", 6'9", and us going ultra small. But under Mike Woodson offense, you never know. He can go small with that unit, and we just outrun everybody and be aggressive on defense and be a pest with trapping in the corner, trapping at the top of the key. So, I just thought about that. That might not be bad. That might not be bad. You know what? Yeah, chat probably have been okay. No chat's been coming in. I just had to double check. No messages came in. So yeah, that might not be bad. Going that route, but right now I think size for the Knicks plays a major role. I think so. It plays a major role with having, Mitch at that 5 being a paint deterrent. You have the 2 solid wing defenders on each wing with OG and Mikal, who wingspan. It's massive. So you're shrinking the court. And then, of course, you have, out of Brunson, which is the only questionable aspect, to be honest with you. But I think we're good. And then even with Cat as well, who's a 7-footer who has long wingspan, shortening the court. So we'll be solid defensively on that end as well. On that end, let me see. Where did my chat go? Where did the chat go? But yeah, that's pretty much all I had for today. Really wish my guys were more interactive, but it's all good. We all quiet. We all listening and stuff. I'm here for you guys. I want to vibe off for your thoughts and your process, but it's definitely all good. I'm gonna try to go live a little bit more, like I said, to interact with you guys. But this been dope. It's been I finally caught up to my overall summary of the all season. Now I could kind of move forward with the training camp, but what goes on from there. But I'm 100% looking forward to this year. It's a banner year for me, and what I mean by banner year, I want the Atlantic Division. So that's not even the first banner. I'm jumping ahead. Excuse me. Let's just rewind it back. So as I say, this is a banner year for us, right? Starting off with the play-in tournament. I want that banner, right? Set the tone for us that this is a championship team. Get used to putting that banner up, right? I don't think we're going to be complacent if we win that. That's going to solidify for us that feeling of putting something in the Raptors. Then you go for the Atlantic Division. We've had the Atlantic Division, I want to say, since what, the 2012, 2013 season. That's 2 banners, right? Then, of course, Eastern Conference. It's 3 banners, right? Eastern Conference champs. It's 3 banners. And bring it on home as the NBA champs. 4 banners this year the Knicks should be able to get. I don't, Chad. I don't think you hear me, Chad, because Chad's quiet. 4 banners. This is the banner year for the Knicks. This will be history for the Knicks. We have the roster to do it. We have the coaches to do it. We have the president that can do it. Shout out to Liam Rose. We have an organization that needs it. So why not bring it home this year? Why not bring it home? All right. But on that note, since we're all quiet, everybody's quiet in the chat, I'm going to probably end it on that note because I don't have anything left. Maybe I can watch some of these videos. I haven't seen today's video, so that's maybe something I can probably throw in there to see what these guys talked about in today's practice. So let me pull that up. I'm gonna pull that up because I didn't hear it. Let's see, OG. All right. Obviously, I can't hear, but I can't hear nothing. Okay, yeah. OG it's whispering. Sounds about right. But it says OG making first team all defensive and winning defensive player of the year are always his goals heading into the new season. That's definitely something that I talked about already is him being on that defensive player of the year. Winning that, I think that's goal number 1 for him, to be honest with you. I'm trying to see, were there any more SNY takes? Let me put in SNY. Let me put in SNY. See, that guy Ian Begley got some stuff up today. Let's see. This is some old videos here. Knicks videos usually come in clutch, I'm gonna be honest with you. Let's see about Jalen Brunson. What the captain had to say. It says Jalen Brunson came into training camp this season a little lighter, more toned.
Just throughout the course of the season, it wasn't really me being lighter. I'm not that much lighter. Definitely more toned and like that, but it's just important for me to obviously get my body in the best shape possible I can and go from there. What do you have?
Then it was talking about Cat. Let's pop this up.
Is at an extremely high level. Yeah. And so there are going to be some things that Sabonis did do that for sure Cat can do when he's at the 5. Yeah. And then vice versa. Cat, we're going to move him around a lot. He's not just going to play the 5. Yeah. And so he'll be all over the floor. And his ability to shoot the basketball will show because we're going to move him around.
So it says, Cat, we're going to move him around a lot. He's not just going to play the 5. He'll be all over the floor. His ability to shoot the basketball will show because we're going to move him around. That's obvious. And he stated the point, like, he's not going to just sit there, do that. Why would we trade a kid to keep Shamet, another 2-guard? Nick Yag, what it do, my guy? What it do? Felt like it's been forever. It's crazy. But it says, why would you trade a kid to keep Shamet? Another 2-guard who won't see the floor. If you was here earlier, I'd said the same thing. We brought in these player development guys to develop players, right? Develop our youth. Who is that? Besides maybe Dink Pink that you picked up in the G League, and Diawara, that's another player that we can see developing. But you're talking about the 6'8" potential Pacome Dadier. Like, I won't trade Dadier. Right? I won't trade Dadier. Now, would I trade Tyler Kolek to make room for Brogdon? Yes. Shamit, they're probably seeing him as a backup, that's someone that can still shoot the ball, and he plays defense. He plays better defense than Tyler Kolek, but Tyler Kolek, his assist to turnover ratio 9.1 to 1. Still a solid 3-point shooter. His defense is not all of that great, but it's tough. We're in a tough situation, which is why we don't know where the organization is going to go. Nick Yak, where's the organization going to go? Who we're going to move? How you're going to add in these players? Because I know they said about Shams. They said Shams said that I got to bring it up. Let's see if I can pop it up YouTube real quick and see what Shams. But Shams said that the Knicks are going to keep Malcolm Brogdon and Shamit. Like, they're going to play a pivotal role. Like, how is that possible? Who are we going to get rid of? And why? Brogdon, yes. If Brogdon's going to play a significant role, I can see that happening. If he stays healthy, if he's good. Hold on. I'm trying to find Shams real quick. But yeah, if he can stay healthy, I can see him being a solid backup point guard, because he's the legit point guard with presence that we can keep on our team, that can actually make a difference in crunch time minutes. I don't know if we're going to put Kolek in those minutes right now. Maybe, Deuce is the only person, Deuce and Clarkson, but we need a true point guard. Like a true point guard, someone that's going to get the team situated. Let me see. Someone that's going to get the team situated, someone that could calm us down, someone that could get us buckets. That's what you need. Why is nothing really popping up of Brogdon and Shams? I'm not seeing it. Now it's not coming up for me. But yeah, it's I can't see it happening, Nick Yak. But something's gonna give. Somebody's gonna make room. Yeah, maybe Shamit gets cut because he wants to keep Deuce, but then someone has to go in order for them to bring in Malcolm Brogdon. I want Malcolm Brogdon, to be honest with you. But Shamit plays a key role. Yes, that's another 6'4" dude. Don't forget, he played amazing defense for us in that Indy series when he got the opportunity. And during the regular season with him and Dylan Wright. Those dudes played phenomenal defense. And he was knocking down 3-pointers at a high clip. So it's going to be needed. It's going to be needed. Let me switch it up. You talking about Pacome or Kolek? Who's a point guard for another two guard who is Shamit gets minutes? Yabu over, not Hart, McBride, Bridges, or Clarkson, who all play two guard. Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you. Which is definitely, I think Hart definitely is not the oddball out. Deuce minutes might decrease. If we don't sign Shamit, we can keep everyone, including Brogdon. Really? Okay. So then look, that might have to be the path. That has to be the path. Yeah, that has to be the path. Because with Shamit, I wish I could pull up his stats. Shamit, it's a good shooter. It's a great shooter. It's a great shooter. Played great defense. But we got Josh, like you said. That's another forward or two guard. Like all these guys are two guards. It's a cluster at the two guard, point guard spot. Your true point guards: Brunson, Brogdon, Deuce. That's 3 point guards right there. Your two guards is Mikal, Clarkson. Who else we throwing in there? Brogdon. Well, no, he kind of alternates, whatever. But you have those two guys. Even Josh technically is a two guard. Your small forwards very thin. OG, Josh, Pacome Dadier, right? Diawara, we'd label him a forward. He's a small forward. We're not labeling him anything else. But yeah. Then I forgot about Kolek too. Jesus Christ. You as a point guard. It's clustered. It's a cluster. It's a good thing to have. But yeah, somebody got to go. Shamet, it's the odd man out. I think he's possibly here as a training camp invite. Like I said, these guys are non-guaranteed. So it makes sense for them to bring them in and thug it out during the training camp. And I think that's why they kept it open. That's why they signed these guys to the Exhibition 9 is to thug it out. Because Brogdon, he might not showcase something that's good during the training camp. And he might get cut, and they might keep Shamet if Shamet plays better, which I doubt. But all right, Nick Yak, I appreciate you. I did not know that if they just let Shamet go, they're able to kind of bring in Brogdon on that minimum. All right, that clears up a lot then. I feel good about that. Shamet was great against the Pacers, but horrible against Detroit and Boston. That is true. And I think the big differences was the Boston series. Boston were paused. They were bigger. They had bigger shooters out there. Their schemes was solid. You throw Shamet on a Brown or a Tatum or a White. These dudes were kind of more aggressive and bigger than Shamet. So, and that Detroit series was a battle. That Detroit series, that Nick and Detroit series, to me, was still the best series in that entire playoff series. Better than the NBA Finals. Way better than the NBA Finals. That was like a 90s, early 2000 playoff series. A brute, we're not calling, elbows, get into the rack, clean buckets, hard buckets. Then, of course, a couple no calls. When I think it was Josh should have got that foul called on him. But, good no call, ref. Good no call. So, but then in that Pacers series, remember the Pacers played smaller guys. They went with smaller lineups, and those guys were still great shooters, but he was able to play better defense guarding a Halliburton or guarding the other dude. I keep forgetting the other dude that destroyed us the year before, hitting that game-winning shot in Game 1. So, yeah, we could go either or, but I would rather have Brogdon than Shamet. So that we can keep the young guys and develop. Like you said, there's a reason why the Knicks went out and got these coaches, right? They went and got player development coaches. Let me see if I could bring it up. They went and got player development coaches. You went and got an offensive head coach coordinator. You went and got a defensive coordinator. You got Charles Allen. You brought in these guys. And I think we're still keeping Daske, which is solid. I'm actually happy about that. We're keeping him as a, I believe is the analyst and video choreographer. I think that's what we're doing with that. You said Mitch was the difference against Detroit. Oh, 100%. Well, Mitch was the difference in that Indy series too. But Mitch is contract year for Mitch, Nick Yak. Contract year. You know what Mitch did the following year? He needed a contract year. He played over 65 games, got that bag, and got that extension. I think he's going to play the same way this year. He's going to be efficient. He's going to be solid, going to be not runner up, but hopefully in the category of being a defensive player of the year. But Mitch is going to come through for us with that. Let me see if I can stretch out this. All right, boom. There you go. Stretch it out. So, yeah, Mitch was definitely a key maker. He's going to be a key maker for us, period, due to the fact of how we play defense and how our starting lineup is and how we play defense. I think once we figure out the scheme, because remember, Tibbs barely pressed. We barely pressed. We barely trapped. You know, the only time we would trap is when we're trying to get the ball out the point guard's hand. So we would trap at the top of the key. We never trapped in the corners. Never did, there was none of that. Right? And then he would have his center trapping, who would come out and then try to flare back to get to his bigs. We're not doing that. We're definitely not doing that. But it's a new year. Definitely looking forward to what the Knicks bring forth. I think this is a 58, 59 win season. Definitely more than what ESPN said, as ESPN said that the Knicks is only going to win 54 games. That's not going to happen. We're going to win more than 54. Maybe 4 more, 3 more, but I think it's going to be more than 54. I think we're going to come out guns blazing. The bench are going to be flowing. Like, it's going to be a unit. Like, we're going to be solid. We're definitely going to be solid with that. So that's that. Pay the man Mitch. Oh man, but it's just gonna be tough. How are we gonna pay him? But let me see. Pay the man Mitch had a 72 game season and second year, and he played 61, then 66. Yep. Game shortened COVID season. Yep. Only missed 5 games. Yep. Now, and we always get at Mitch, 8 years in the league, and we talk about him missing most of it, a lot with certain injuries, but we do have the #1 ranked medical staff in the NBA. I think that's going to go a long way for Mitch this year, because when he came back last year, they kept him healthy. They came in, they had a regimen for him. I believe they're going to have something similar for him this year. He's coming in healthy. There's no injuries. Please, there should be no reason for Mitch to be hurt this year. Maybe a knick-knack injury here or there, the way you miss 2, miss 3. But 65 to 70. 65. Well, actually, there's no back-to-back for Mitch. So 65 should be it, right? Because I don't think we play that many back-to-back games. So 65 games for Mitch. We're banking on that. If he could do that, I think the Knicks have no problem bringing Mitch back, especially with what he do on the offensive end, his length, how he's a lob threat. He blocks shots. He said this man said, I got a farm now that he plants and have his own food. So he's eating healthy. That's very important as a diet. So now he's taking it serious. He want to get that bread. 2 broken bones that ruined 3 seasons. Otherwise, he really isn't injury prone. Okay, we could take that. We could take that. We could take that. Look, let him finish. Let him finish this year out strong, and put all of that to rest. I think this is the year for him to put it to rest. This is 100%. There's no reason. You're going to play less minutes. We're going to be utilizing our bench. You're going to be using a different defensive scheme. Shoot, why not play every game that you're slated to play? If Mitch do that, I would go over the cap for Mitch. I will go over the second apron for Mitch. Do you agree with that, Nick Yak? Would you go over the apron to keep Mitch with the core that you already have of Brunson, OG, Cat, and Mikal? Because then that means you are running that starting 5 back. 14 backs to backs leave you with 68. So 65 is right there. Is right there with three extra. 3 extra games in the room. But tell me though, what do you think? Are you willing to go over the second apron for Mitch, or you'll give Hakapori? Yeah, I wouldn't even let Mitch go. I'm sorry, I would have to bring him back. That was my thing. I would bring him back. I want to hear your opinion on that one, though, Nick Yak, or anybody in the chat. What do you think? Definitely comment. Like, would you bring back Mitch to go over? Because then obviously your flexibility on bringing other players back, it's gone. You know, you would sign little minimums here and there, or you would have to sign players. But Gershon and these guys, they figure out ways to bring these guys in. They're phenomenal. They'll figure a way to bring in these players. But I would go over the cap for Mitch, and bring him back. He's a phenomenal guy, like you said, offensive threat. So that's with that. But I appreciate you guys rocking back with me. I've been away from a long time. Definitely was looking forward to some of my usual Nick Yak pull up in. I appreciate you. Nick's chick, nostalgic Nick pulled up, so I appreciate that. Miss my guy Peter. With Peter at Peter, if you're here, I'm shouting you out. But any of my peoples though, I appreciate y'all rolling. I'm definitely gonna try to dish out some more stuff to be there. But I still put up my stagnant videos. Y'all rock with my stagnant videos, please. Tune into that. Give your thought process, hit the like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. But definitely appreciate y'all rocking with your boy. And until the next episode, ladies and gents, we out. Well, hold up. I think I got another message that came in really quickly. Let me pop that up. Nick Yak says, I absolutely love Mitch game, and this year will absolutely 12 points, 9 rebounds, 26 minutes is possible. 12-9, yo, 12-9. We might as well go 12-10 with Mitch. We might as well go 12-10 with Mitch. If we go 12-10, that's a career year for Mitch. Hold on, I didn't read it correctly because it was like a blur, but it was saying I absolutely love Mitch game, and this year he will be aggressive offensively. 12 points, 9 boards, 26 minutes is possible. It's 100% possible. We rarely look to give Mitch the ball in any high pick and rolls when he's flaring. Mikal looks for him a lot. Cat looked for him a lot. But now if he's implementing this offense, the lob threat is a major key. Mitch matches are a major key. You know, if we got Mitch in a paint and a point guard that's on him, they're going to say feed Mitch the ball. Right? Because that's the Mitch match. It's either a foul, him getting to the free throw, or he's putting that ball up and it's a dunk. Right? Create those opportunities. I think that Mike Woodson, Jesus Christ. Mike Woodson's on my mind. Mike Brown will create schemes like that for Mitch matches to happen and for us to attack the mismatch. So 12-10, that should be easily in 26 minutes. I said Mitch will play about 28 minutes this year. I said about 28, about 27, 28 minutes. So we're right on par. Everybody's right on par with their predictions on his minutes and his stats. So that'll be a phenomenal year. So, but ultimately, it's what the offense will is game plan. Hopefully, Mike Woodson utilized it. He talked about it a little bit as Mitch being a lob threat, but that's all he said. I think Mitch is more than a lob threat, right? We had clips of Mitch having a ball, faking out. Who's that guy? Gobert at the top, faked him out with the in and out, went to the rack, banged it. We seen that. Since Mitch only playing 26 minutes, 9 boards is great because he helps defend instead of looking for defensive rebounds. First of all, Mitch, we all know Mitch is a horrible defensive rebound, and that's due to the fact that, like you said, he's usually helping out. But that's in Tibbs' defensive scheme. Hopefully it's not the same for this one. Well, especially if he's on that high pick and roll and he's popping up. You're 100% correct, which is why but his offensive rebounds, he usually average about 6 or 7 offensive rebounds a game and with like 2 defensive. So that can 100% increase. But which is why I think 9 is probably shorting him, because I think he could probably grab a little bit more on a defensive end and still average 5 offensive rebounds, 5 or 6 offensive rebounds, and getting us a couple of 5 or 4 defensive. But yeah, no, it's you know what, I might have to do a stagnant video about Mitch offensive game and his potential this year, especially with his contract year. So I might do a more deeper dive into Money Mitch in this off season. Appreciate you, Nick Yak. I'll definitely do that. Says in high school, Mitch brought the ball. Oh, you gonna bring up the high school videos? Look, we all see Mitch in the summer. Mitch in the summer is Anthony Davis. That's who Mitch in the summer is. We all know that. Mitch is AD during the summertime. With knocking down 3-pointers, in and out dribbles, pulling up for 3, fadeaways, crossover handle. But we don't have a coach that let him display that. Is that going to happen this year? I don't know. It's up to Mitch to sit there and say, yo, let me expand my game. The player development guys, what do we see from Mitch? Is Mitch handle good? We know Mitch could bring the ball up. We seen him in sets, as far as, putting the ball on the floor, left or right hand. That's the crazy. Mitch can dribble solid with his left hand. Like from top of the key and get to the basket. We've seen that. But will the offense allow him? Will the coaches allow it? Will the players allow him to be like that? Right? Says Mitch also told to box out and let ball handlers get uncontested rebounds. He is high IQ. Oh yeah, no, look, all about Mitch is great. Like I want Mitch to have more opportunities, because I believe he was limited under Tibbs. I don't know why. Like, I don't know if they saw something in the regular lineup that didn't translate over. Or summertime Mitch is like Hoodie Mellow. You only see it during that time period. That's the, summer Mitch. Like, playoff P is a thing, but we ain't see playoff P. But yeah, let me see. Mitch also told to box out and let ball handlers get uncontested. Well, I guess that's how Josh was getting all those boards. He's boxing out. And of course, you're having 2 to 3 other defenders are boxing out Mitch. You reading that scouting report, Mitch on that scouting report. If the ball goes up on that offensive rebound tip, put bodies on Mitch, right? Or, they're putting bodies on Mitch. So he's still getting offensive rebounds. Or, like you stated before, he's out there guarding, helping and assist. So other players, Josh be fiending to grab those defensive boards. And now we got Cat. Cat want to get his boards up. He had a career average of 13.3 or 13.4 this year. So who knows? Let's see. Hopefully Mitch can get those boards. 9 will be fine with me. 12 and 9, that's still solid, because I think Mitch's career is like 8 and 8. So both will be career high numbers on that take. But definitely word. I'm getting parched at the moment. Nick Yak, I appreciate you coming in, saving me in the last few minutes, guiding me, bringing in some questions, getting the interaction in. I definitely want to do a call-in show. Let's see. Randall's rebounds went down without Mitch boxing out for him. Oh, yeah. Well, he got Rudy Gobert. Yeah, he got Rudy Gobert over there. So, but yes, Randall numbers definitely did go down with the rebounding. But then even with the addition of Josh Hart. You know, Josh was there grabbing more boards. We got more players that are gravitating to rebounding. So I think that's why when Randall was with us, those numbers went down with those added players. Don't forget OG is another big body as well. Mikal is another guard. Like we have rebounding players. Like Mikal career average is probably 4 or 5 rebounds per game. OG career average is probably, actually, instead of me saying probably, we can just look him up. We can look it up. OG career rebound average is 4.4. All right. That's rebounding right there. Mikal, let's pull up Mikal's. Mikal's rebounding average is 4. Right. Another rebounder right there. Cat last year, Cat was 12.8, but he's a career 11 rebounders per game. Who else was on the floor during that time period? Yeah, so that's pretty much the bulk of the players that was on the floor. JB, we love JB, but he's giving you 2.9. Career average is 3. So we got a lot of guys that grab the boards. And Mitch, like you said, career average, it's 7.8, 7.8. Last year was 5 and 5, and that's under 17 minutes in the short time period. Mitch, he's going to ball out. He's going to ball out this year. And my thing is, would Mike Brown allow Mitch to play more minutes in certain games? If he see that Mitch got it going on, Mitch got 12 points, 13 rebounds in the third quarter, would he keep him in and keep it flowing, or like feed him the ball? Right? But is that something that's going to happen this year? It's a lot of uncertainty, but it's good uncertainty due to the fact that the head coach that we got and the play style that they're trying to play. So we'll definitely see, but it's a lot of good stuff. Appreciate you, Nick Yak, definitely for rocking, definitely for being here. Yep, because I'm about to wrap it up. Appreciate it. This was a solid first time being back. It's good. I'll take what I got, but I got all my information out. It's good chatting with you guys. Definitely until we speak again.